So welcome everyone. I'm so happy that you all are with us. My heart is beating rapidly with nerves and excitement and love. I have several family members here, tea community from around the world, and I've been tasked with a very challenging job of introducing our hosts for the day. This has been made ever so more challenging by the fact that there are so many people in this room who I wish I could, if I had time, introduce, but I think that it would probably take our entire, uh, our entire hour and 15 minutes. So one of my co-hosts is watching the waiting room, I gather. So I'm going to introduce all four of my other co-hosts, not in order of importance, but sort of a personal chronology. I moved to Lama in 1993. Leslie McLean was a resident when I arrived. During the winter, she invited the community to join her for tea in her small, uninsulated house in the woods. A handful of us arrived to find the fire going on the wood stove, still taking the edge off. A single tatami mat was laid out on the floor with a small kettle keeping the tea water warm, set out over a can of Sterno. Leslie fed us sweets that she had made from toasted soy flour and maple syrup, and she served us tea in a manner that seemed to mimic the snow as it collected on the pine boughs outside her window. Leslie has a style that those who know her smile deeply when trying, unsuccessfully, to describe, and that often includes a complement of patterns and colors that somehow serve to playfully, sentimentally remind us of our own ability to be a friend. Kathy Lyons and her husband, Austin Ravi, came to Lama to teach a tea workshop in the early 1990s. If we could see the future, they would have driven up that dirt road with eyes even wider and mouths agape to know that years later, they would have left their busy lives in DC to live at the foundation, hold the helm as coordinators, and eventually buy land on the mountain and build their own home. Kathy is probably one of the most generous people that I know. Her ability to look out for others is equally matched by her unfaltering sense of humor, an endlessly deep sense of empathy. Every time, oh, I'm gonna get emotional, sorry. Every time I've landed at Kathy's home, whether for just a short visit or for a 6-month intensive live-in tea training, Kathy has always greeted me at the door to assess my needs and would see me off in tears. If on the sea in a boat rocked by a storm, Kathy would be the anchor that holds fast while the world spins out of control. By the way, I didn't tell my co-hosts that I was writing long introductions to them. They probably would have told me not to do this. Asha Greer, founder of Lama Foundation, is a self-described unlikely suspect of a tea person. She is neither quiet nor graceful. On the contrary, Asha is blunt, experimental, and wildly dedicated to her path, and all with a nurse's touch. When I think of Asha, I think of her feet. Large, at least in my mind, stable, and always connected to the earth. I had tea in Asha's tea house in Virginia many years ago. When she opened the door to begin tea, there she was, barefooted, with what looked like the whole forest worth of leaves stuck to her feet. She kneeled, took a long, deep breath, and then another one, and then made me a perfectly imperfect bowl of tea. A bowl that demanded to be exactly as it is and was in space and time, and so carved out a niche, much like Asha, in my heart and mind as an unforgettable, honest tea. Sakina von Briesen has a quiet elegance that infuses everything she does and every corner of her life. She has not only held tea space in Santa Fe in an official capacity for years, but she holds tea space in life in a way that is unmatched by most. It is not her dedication to the form, but her innate sense of ease within. She might argue with me here, but if I were to imagine her as a tea implement, I would see her as a hishaku. The hishaku is a long, slender bamboo scoop that is used to move hot water from the kettle to the tea bowl and cold water from the cold water container to the kettle. The hishaku is understated, but absolutely essential. Graceful without being ostentatious, nourishing in its purpose and use. When I uprooted my family and moved to Santa Fe 3 years ago, Sakina and her husband Sadiq quickly and gently jumped in as honorary local grandparents to my children. She asserts kindness in each motion and movement, like a vessel for that which gives life. So, with introductions out of the way and my heart still pounding, I'd like to just tell you all the format for this event so you know what to expect. This is going to be part concentration, part prayer, I guess you could say, part chaos in a perfectly Lama-esque sort of way. We've divided this event into 3 bowls of tea. The first bowl, Sakina is going to prepare for us. We'll just watch and take it all in. She will introduce her tea. It's an offering tea. We can hold the focus of an offering in our hearts as well, or just enjoy the motions of tea. The second bowl of tea will be prepared by Leslie and narrated by Kathy. And this bowl is meant to be gently instructional. A lot of you already make tea and know are students or teachers of Japanese tea. And many of you have never held a tea implement in your life, at least of the Japanese sort. And we've invited you to bring something to prepare tea with. If you did bring something, as Leslie's going along, Kathy's going to be explaining the inner intention behind Leslie's movements so that you can follow along in your own way. And don't worry, this is not supposed to be perfect. People spend their whole lives learning tea. We don't expect you to get it in 10 minutes. But this is a way for us all to practice together and just enjoy the chaos. After the second bowl of tea, we'll break up into breakout rooms. And any of you who brought an implement or utensil that has meaning or a story behind it, we'll have time to share, or we can just talk about the experience or catch up with someone we haven't seen in a while. We'll do that for about 10 or 12 minutes. When we return, we will make a third bowl of tea. And this third bowl of tea is going to be a group process in silence. Kathy will lead us and keep a pace for us. You can make tea in your own way. I recommend switching to gallery view at that point and getting to take it all in and watch everyone in motion together. So if you know how to prepare tea, or you want to make your coffee or whatever you happen to be making today, we'll do it in tandem as a group activity. And then we'll come back together as a whole, and Asha will lead us out. So I hope you all know what to expect. Please enjoy yourselves.
Tracy, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Your Kyoto guests are kind of out in cyberspace someplace. I was with them. They're here, but they don't seem to be here or something. I can hear them talking.
Gary Sensei, is that you? I don't know if there's anything I can do to help, but I'm not sure. Maybe Heather, you have some ideas?
I don't see them in the waiting room, so I'm not sure where they are stuck, but we will hold the seance and hope that they come to us.
So I'll turn the floor over to Asha.
Oh, what an amazing, incredibly rarefied and esoteric group you are, and we are so honored to have you and to see you, and hope to see you for an hour. Anyway, we're calling this Lama tea because Lama tea has never been exactly like Japanese tea ceremony, so we don't want to embarrass the Japanese and bring their reputation down. So relax and enjoy us and our offering. We are having this ceremony in honor of the Lama Foundation, which is you and which is us, all of us, and everyone who has ever visited or wanted to visit. Also, in honor of Millie Johnstone, an artist who walked up from the parking lot when she was 71 at our altitude of 8,000 feet. She carried a bag of tea utensils. She was lovely, had a beautiful voice, refined, and also obeyed. She loved us and we loved her. She served tea on a red carpet in the newly roofed dome. It was a little bit more high art than Lama was used to, given that we were always making adobes at that time. She served tea on our adobe field on the present volleyball court. She served tea to Sunday visitors. And she taught tea to 3 of us at a time in the now burnt up Khan Dome. Most important to her, and what she passed on to us, was an experience of tranquility, refinement, which came with quiet attention, concentration, and care. The ceremony we studied had 149 precise movements. It was for all of us, an extraordinary dive into a totally new and enchanted internal space. She encouraged us with infinite patience. The demands on our posture and precise movements necessitated a lot of release and laughter, which became hysterical frequently. One learns in this discipline that one can, quoting a famous tea practitioner, experience the universe in a bowl of tea. So I hope you have something to drink with you. If you don't, then you can have subtle tea, which doesn't have to have any kind of name, because what we really want to do is make our lives peace-based in a kind of gentle way as best we can. And I hope you have something sweet, and if you don't have something sweet to eat, then imagine that sweet thing that you could have a tiny little bite of and taste, and just bring that taste into your mouth so that you're joining everyone else in both the drink and the sweet. The spirit with which we are joining one another is to feel our caring that creates peace space. So Sakina will now make the ceremonial bowl for both the Lama Foundation and Millie Johnstone.
Welcome to our spacious and inclusive tea room where we all fit comfortably and none of us need to sit seiza unless we want to. So yeah, please be comfortable. You'll find it does help if you can breathe. So, kind of sitting like this might not be the best approach. So yeah, we can just be aware of our breathing. And the more we're aware of our breathing, the more we're together rather than these little pictures on the screen. It was 50 years ago that Millie came to Lama in 1970. And Asha described how she was at Lama. And what I have experienced since then is her teaching as it transformed Asha and my husband Sadiq, who's Asha's brother. Asha especially fell so deeply in love with tea that since that time, tea has had a home at Lama. It's been welcome. And thousands of people have been served tea at Lama. I think that welcome of tea Also helped bring Leslie to Lama, and Kathy and Austin also. And it's brought me and Sadiq back. I'm gesturing, he's over here. Me and Sadiq back to Lama many times to serve tea, to help with teas, to teach tea, just to be there in a tea space with people. Many of you included. So that was more than 50 years, well, that was 50 years ago. So what we're going to do today is an offering tea for Millie, also to thank Lama, to thank Asha, and the entire Lama family for holding this tea space all of this time. In our alcove, our tokonoma today, we have a scroll that in Japanese says Senshin, cleansing the heart. And we have a photo of Millie, which I'm going to put up here. I have no idea if you'll be able to see it or not.
Yes.
Millie doing what she called a chalice tea. And we don't have a flower here today, which would be traditional, but we do have this view of the inside of the Lama Dome with a skylight looking like a flower. Yeah, creativity is a big part of tea. And at Lama, creativity has always been kind of essential because we often didn't have all of the right implements or the right things to use for tea. I remember when I was studying with Leslie at Lama, we didn't have any sweet papers and we had a lot of guests coming. And she said, let's go out and find some flat rocks and we'll use those as sweet papers. So out we went and we got to look at all of these beautiful rocks. And we found flat ones and we washed them off and dried them. And the guests were so touched by these beautiful rocks that they got to put their sweets on. There's also something about the land at Lama and the wildness that you live in there that sparks a kind of creativity. This tea scoop that I'm using today was carved by Austin Ravi out of Lama Pinon, and he named it Furosan, or Ageless Mountain. So Millie studied in the Urasenke tradition of tea, and all five of us putting this together today study Urasenke also. We don't have time today to teach Urasenke form, and you may have a form that's different, you may have no form, and that's just fine. What we want to touch today is the essence or the spirit of tea. It's deeply peaceful, respectful, and spacious. My first tea lesson at Lama was with Asha, and she had bugged me for several years to have a lesson. And finally she said, okay, just come have one lesson, and if you don't like it, I won't ask you again. So I went to the ISC, this is before it burned, and she sat me down on the steps of the horseshoe, and she had 2 basins of warm water. And she very lovingly and slowly washed my feet. And she dried them off, and she looked me in the eyes, and she said, this is the spirit of tea. Now let's have a lesson. So that was the day that I fell in love with tea. We had the lesson, and what I experienced was that there was this form, and it was brought to life by a spirit. That we could create this peaceful space and invite people to join us in that space. The form could carry that energy. Yeah. one of my teachers said, you don't want to do tea, you want to become tea, moment to moment. So we all get to participate in this offering tea. And we're going to participate by starting with a bow. And we're all going to practice bowing together. So just be where you can breathe. Let your spine be loose. And, you know, tea offerings generally begin and end with everyone bowing together. And one thing it does is it gets us breathing together, because it's natural to exhale as we lean forward and to inhale as we come up. Once we're breathing together, we start to be in the present moment together. So let's practice. I'm going to count to 3. We're going to do a count of 3 going down, hinging from our hips. It's not like collapsing our heads. We're going to stay down for a count of 3, and we're going to come back up on a count of 3. So let's do it all together. 1, 2, 3. Stay down. 2, 3. Come up. 2, 3. Ah, beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to make this offering bowl of tea, and we'll begin with a silent bow from our hearts. Let's all bow together. And now we will go to Leslie in New Zealand, where it's tomorrow morning.
So, hello. I prepared a few things to say, but it's pretty well covered already. And actually, I'm going to put it back on gallery view so I'm not looking at myself. When I came to Lama, I had just finished 3 years of full-time tea study in Japan. And yet when I came to Lama, I felt completely unworthy to teach anything. Who am I to teach? There's always so much to learn. Doesn't matter how long you've done tea, there's more to learn. And Lama taught me to offer what I had with all my imperfections. And that was enough. And there were always people wanting to have tea. And I can't really put into words. It changed my life. It allowed me to weave in everything I learned in Japan about the form with all the bits inside me that aren't specifically about tea, but which is still in every bowl of tea. The whole of us, the whole of everything is in every bowl of tea we make and share with other people. So here I am, supposedly giving a lesson, but it's a different kind of tea. Some of you have already done a lot of Japanese tea. Some of you have never done it. Some of you have making a cup of coffee. So this tea is really a tea to bring all of us together, to calibrate us all into one tea. So we've broken it down into a few steps. Sorry, I'm very inarticulate at the moment. I've just written it in the, oops, I've just sent it to the wrong person. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah. So breathe. So hopefully we've all set up our utensils in front of us, and we're going to start with a bow, then we'll purify our utensils, then make tea, drink tea, eat our sweet, clean up and bring things back into order, and then we'll bow. So it will be chaotic and wonderful at the same time. So I'll show you my setup here. I've got a tray with utensils that are from Lama. These in particular are very precious to me, were created by the Lama fire. This was a window in my house and a tea tin. And I've got a silk cloth, a fukusa, to purify my utensils, my sweets, and a thermos, a sake thermos for my hot water. So, and I've actually just forgotten something. Just a minute. In all my preparations, I forgot something to put the wastewater in. So I've got a cup. So I am demonstrating to you that it's okay to make a lot of mistakes. So I will make the tea and Kathy will instruct.
well, I'll talk. I don't know about instruct, but I'll say something. There is something nice about starting and ending with a bow. It does, as Sakina had mentioned, it really does bring us all together. And I am just over the moon to be together with you all. So Leslie right now is going to start with what we call the purification part of making tea. Not only is she going to purify the utensils, which are clean, everything's spick and span, everything is clean, but she's taking this moment now to purify them and to purify her heart, and also to bring her focus to the present moment. So please go ahead. Please purify your utensils, whatever you've brought. Maybe you have a feather. Maybe you'll say a prayer or a chant. Maybe you'll wave some sage. Please go ahead. We purify the space and the utensils before we make the tea. And every movement that she makes is focused and exact. And that also helps to bring us all into her space as well. I feel very soothed just watching Leslie purify things. You notice we're saying purify, not clean. We're purifying. Another practical aspect of purifying is warming up or chilling. It depends on the kind of beverage you brought with you today. In our case, we're warming up the bowl with some hot water. And of course, purifying the tea whisk. That's a single piece of bamboo that's been hand cut between 80 and 120 times. It's still one of the handmade crafts in Japan. She's also inspecting for any dust or whatnot. So hopefully you are almost done with purifying and warming up your vessel, because now we will get ready to make our beverage or our tea. The vessel is ready. Leslie's now going to take a couple scoops of powdered green tea and put it into the bowl. I wish you could see and smell the color. It's a bright green color, just like the oaks that are on Lama Mountain right now. We've had a lot of rain recently in the afternoon, so it's a blessing for the land and for all of us. There's the tea. It's not a lot of tea. She's not making a huge bowl of tea because we want to be able to appreciate the space in the bowl as well, the empty space. So not just, she's not going to fill it up. Maybe it's a third cup of liquid, perhaps. There are many varieties of powdered green tea. Many flavors, if you will, ranging from sweet to bitter, astringent. And now she's going to whisk. So please get ready to prepare your beverage so that you can drink it. Normally we have a sweet before we drink the tea, but we're going to have the sweet after we drink the tea. I love that move. She's embracing all of us in that one beautiful circle. And now we get to enjoy our beverage. So hopefully you're ready to enjoy the beverage. Before we do that, we offer a bow of gratitude, kansha, or appreciation for what has brought us here. And in our tradition, we drink from the back of the bowl as kind of an act of humility, if you will. That's why she turned the bowl. So please enjoy your bowl of tea or cup of coffee, whatever you have. And as you take that sip, let the flavor just take over your mouth and your whole being. This moment right now is what matters. Thank you for coming. Now we get to enjoy our sweet. If you brought a sweet treat, please go ahead. And just like you were very present with drinking your beverage, please do the same with your sweet or savory. I don't know what you brought. The idea is to just be with that flavor and let the sweetness melt and just surround your whole heart and body. The sweetness is a wonderful balance to the bitterness of the tea. Maybe you have some of your tea left, so drink. Because the next step will be cleaning up and bringing everything back to the original starting point. Ideally, we would all be making tea for all of you. In this situation, we're just making one bowl of tea, but pretend that we're making you this bowl of tea. As Tracy called it, from one bowl to many. So now Leslie is just cleaning everything up. She doesn't just leave things just out. She's going to clean everything and bring everything back to the original position. It's that idea from 1 to 10, and then back to 10 to 1, 1 to 10 ad infinitum. So please do the same thing with your implements. Return them to the original state. Original state, but slightly different. And now we are ready to start again. Make another bowl of tea. And we'll bow again. Thanks, Leslie.
Well, I'm not sure. It looked like a lot of people were making tea or other beverages. You know, in our notes, we asked you to bring something that had some history for you or some meaning or some poetry to it. We're too big of a group to share as one group, and so we're going to do breakout rooms for about 10 minutes, probably about 4 to 5 people per room. Heather is going to orchestrate this for us. While you're there, you'll have to self-facilitate in terms of time. We'll let you know when we're about to have a time up. You can see a little green box at the top of your window, and Heather will communicate with you about the time clock. And just share a story if you have one. Yeah, Heather?
For us.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It looks like my face is pinned here.
Check.
Welcome back, you guys. I hope everyone had a good catch-up time. I got put into a room with my brother, sister-in-law, and niece, which was awesome, and Jonathan Scharfman, who I haven't seen in years. So that was really fun. So I'm going to introduce this last bowl of tea that we're going to make together. I think because there's so many of us who haven't seen each other in so long, we'll have this final bowl of tea together. Asha will say a few closing words, and then we can all gab for a few minutes. But then I wanted to let you know that we actually have put in place a social meeting space this afternoon and every afternoon of the retreat. And we'll be putting that link into the chat box and the details. So if anyone here is just dying to have a conversation with someone else that they see in the room, I know I want to talk to just about everybody here. You can just privately message them and make an arrangement to join them. We're calling it Meeting on the Portal, which is something we do at Lama Foundation. When we go to a meal, we end up meeting on the portal and having spontaneous conversations. So we've tried to arrange a space for that. So this.
Can I say something? That's Kathy.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
Hi, and also Leslie and I, there are a number of people who couldn't join us today who wanted to. So Leslie and I will be emailing you all invitations for more online tea.
Ah,
That's it.
lovely.
Thank you, Kathy. We've been getting together for about 7 weeks preparing for this experience, and it's been such a fun way to be together. You know, just like everything, we're having to reimagine how we gather with each other, and who would have ever thought that meeting online to do tea would somehow work, but it does, thankfully. So this final bowl of tea we're going to prepare together. We had the first bowl of tea, which was an offering made by Sakina. The second bowl of tea was mildly instructional. Thank you very much, Kathy and Leslie, as much as they could do in 10 minutes. And this last bowl of tea we're going to make as an offering, however you want to hold that in your heart and mind. It can be an offering to someone in particular who's special to you. It can be an offering to the universe, the world, for world peace, whatever really resonates with you. I will recommend once we get going, she's sort of gonna pace us, and she'll start us off, and you can either keep the speaker view on and make tea in tandem with Kathy, or you can open it up and switch to gallery view. Remember that button's in the top right corner of your screen. And you can sort of watch everyone peripherally as you prepare tea. And we'll do this in silence. No one's going to lead anything. You can make it in any way you want, or you can just sit and hold space. You can meditate. You can do your yoga poses, whatever works for you. We're just going to be in this space together as a space of offering. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy, and let's make some tea together.
I offer this bowl in gratitude.
Well, Kathy, thank you for from the bottom of our collective heart. Kathy, can you hear me? Kathy, I'm sorry, there's a rainstorm happening and a kind of a thunderstorm. But Kathy and
Asha, do you have a second device?
Leslie and Zakina, thank you for your years of study and your attention to detail. I can't say how much I appreciate everything that we're all learning from you all the time, even when you're not present. And thank you to all the people who are here who we all love each other, even those we don't know, but the ones we've lived with and shared not only tea in the tea room, but the connection of heart that Lama is. So with incredible gratitude and a little bit concerned about my computer because I'm out in the rain and it's splashing all over the place, I would like to thank you all, everyone who's come here, who's sitting in a room somewhere finding this completely invisible heart connection, which is certainly apparent in all of our strange internal lives. But what a miracle. You know, who would have thought it, who had read Dick Tracy and seen the wristwatch? That seemed like the most far out thing that could happen in 1937. And here we are in the great oneness. Amen. And they're going. Woo-hoo!
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Fire and frolic. And rain for everybody. May it keep raining everywhere in the world.
I hope it makes it over the mountain.
I do too. So now, how do we go into talking with each other? It's already 5:51 here.
Yes, we have maybe about 5 minutes if people want to just say anything. I wanted to also just recognize that we have tea teachers from all over the world with us today. I don't think I could possibly name every single one of you important people without fumbling over myself terribly and missing someone. But Christy Sensei is here from San Francisco. Thank you so much for joining us. And she
Yay! Woo!
has been holding the San Francisco Ota-Senke headquarters for many, many years. And we have Gary Sensei and Joseph Sensei from Japan. I think they're still here. You guys still here? Yes. And Gary Sensei was one of my main teachers at Ota-Senke when I lived in Japan. And I'm just so happy to see you guys and grateful that you're here. And Uli Haas, are you still in the room, Uli? Oh, there you are. So just a funny story. After Leslie roped several of us into studying tea at Lama, one day she said, "Oh, would you guys like to go to a Chaji intensive and learn to study tea for real?" And we were like, "Yeah, for sure." So we piled into the car with Lama dirt in our pockets and hair, and we headed up to Boulder. And on the drive up to Boulder, Leslie said, "So by the way, there's a couple of things I need to tell you about studying tea." And then she gave us this sort of crash course on wearing white socks and how to speak politely to our sensei. And that was our intro. So that was, I don't know, 27 years ago. So thank you so much for being here, Uli. And Elliot, I see you. Mitchnik is here, and Kevin. I mean, there's just so many tea people in this room who have been influential and in general and to us personally. And I can't name them all, but if anyone else wants to chime in. Anyways, I'm taking up all the airspace. If anyone else wants to say anything, please jump in.